Now, let's discuss this in details. Okay, in the previous episode, I mentioned that I knew that I had to do something to survive and at least feed myself and take care of my personal needs in school, because there was no money coming in from my sponsor. But I just couldn't figure out what to do at all because of the high. If you listen to that episode, I think I've explained what really happened and how the environment was. So I had to look beyond the environment. What can I do? At least I was a bit acquainted with the internet. I had a Facebook account that time. So that's 2016. I knew that you could get a little bit of kicks online, but I just didn't know how do I make it right? Like, what can I really do that's also sustainable? And I wasn't just looking at what to do right now and it just ends with feeding myself. What can I do that can develop, that can grow into a big thing, that can sustain me? And that's sustainable, not just something that can put food and then it ends there. That was the mindset. That was the mindset at the start. So I went into researching and doing a lot of research, just writing out things, thinking deep, right, whatever. Okay, so that was it. And then I came up with this idea of, starting out, like doing a campus magazine. And oh my god, I think I had a name for it. It was dope having this campus magazine. Everything was crazy. I had one friend like that time. I think her name was Kobiat. So I reached out to her. She was always very smart. Okay, but that fun, and this is the idea. What do you think about it? It's nice, it's good. So we started planning everything. How do we do this? What kind of content? We just had meetings and everything was set. So the first thing I did actually is research. And to every other person too, if you're thinking of what you can really do on campus, the first step is research. And you research what can you do with respect to what you have. Because at that time I just had a smartphone. I didn't even have a system. I didn't have a laptop. I only had a smartphone. So I can't say I wanted to start a digital marketing agency. Like, what are you going to do and run it? And there's no excuse that, okay, I just had to, I had a smartphone. So what can I do, with respect to that smartphone? So the first thing you do is research. What can you do with respect to how much you have at hand, or how much you can get? You literally know that now. Like, your how much leverage you have when it comes to financial leverage. So you can literally borrow like maybe 100k or 1 million, or your own leverage might be 10k. You can borrow 10k and afford to pay back. So that's your financial leverage. If you can go up to 1 million, of course, you can expand your idea, think way bigger. So that's the first step. The first step is research. So always research. What can I do with respect to what I have at hand? So in the next episode, we'll talk about, how to grow speedily, because I think speed is something that we really underestimate. So in the next episode, we'll talk about how to grow speedily. So thank you for tuning into this episode of Indetails Podcast. I hope you learned something today. So if you did, please subscribe and share this podcast to your friends. Let them also learn, how to start their own business and how to make less mistakes starting their business as a student entrepreneur. So see ya in the next episode. Bye. Thank you for listening to Indetails Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by color.com.